Oh, well, hello there. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you here. If you're joining us now, just a couple of things. Very welcome. If you join us now, you have any questions, please do feel free to pop your comments below in the chat, and either Celia or myself will pick it up as we go along. And yeah, please just do. We want to make this as interactive as possible for everyone because this is a really important topic for everyone who's doing marketing themselves, or if you're an agency or marketing freelancer, then definitely this would be something relevant for you. So, just a bit about myself. I'm Joyce Marketing Tech. So, we're a digital marketing agency and we focus on SEO, LinkedIn, and mobile technology for SMEs. So, moving on to quickly to Celia. Hi, Celia.
Hi, Joyce. How are you? Hello,
I'm
everyone.
all right. I'm all
Good
right.
to
Thank you
be
very much.
here.
Yes. Yeah. So Celia, let me just introduce Celia if you don't already know her. Celia is the queen bee of LinkedIn. And so you see her on LinkedIn a lot, and she specializes in AI for marketing and LinkedIn education as well. So I will leave that over to you then, Celia, to introduce your topic today.
Yes, certainly. And if you see me looking down, it's because I'm checking for comments. So good to be here. And thank you so much for the invitation, Joyce. There is so much happening on the GPT front. I was thinking that since I started doing seminars, I've been seeking to train myself and share all of my learnings with my audience. Since February, I realized that it's quite impossible to prepare an AI presentation well in advance. You absolutely have to check the latest developments, or you're risking being completely outdated on the day of the presentation.
Yeah,
This is more or less what happened to us, isn't it?
it is.
From,
Yeah.
from the moment you and I had a chat and said, okay, let's do this live, literally the ChatGPT world exploded. And this happened in the last 10 days. So I was going to suggest, it's crazy, isn't it? It's the pace of
It is. Yeah.
acceleration.
I was just talking to someone yesterday at a networking event, and he was saying that there's a university, an educational institution offering a certification on AI, and we laughed when we heard that because by the time you finish your certification, a lot of things would have changed.
Yes, that's very true. Having said that, I've done two certifications on AI, but it's more about the strategic approach on AI. And
Okay,
this is
yeah,
quite a lot of what I talk about because the tools change constantly. It's like a rug that's being
yeah,
pulled under your feet all the time,
yeah.
which is quite important. Here's the title of our conversation today:
Mm,
to think along frameworks that are
mhm,
resilient to particular turbulence underneath in terms of the specific characteristics.
yeah.
So what we're going to do today is three things. First of all, I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of what's happened in the last 10 days in ChatGPT.
Okay, yes.
Then I'm going to dive live behind the scenes so I can actually show you how these things look like,
Hmm.
especially one of the new developments, which is mind blowing. And then I'm going to jump into strategic prompting and I'm going to share with you the
Hmm.
framework I've developed the last few months. And I have found it to be quite resilient, and everyone who's used it has
Hmm.
come back and said, okay, that's actually quite good. In the meantime, do pop your questions underneath. If you are watching this on a replay, we will be checking the comments and feel free to DM Joyce and I. We're happy to take questions. So,
Yeah.
shall
On
we?
that note, sorry, Celia, to interrupt. Yeah, I just want to say hello, Dominic. Dominic's here. Dominic said he's joining us. So Mercelin as well, and Stephen Lam. So if you're there now, I'm not sure if you're there now, but if you're there, welcome. And I'll check the comments for anyone coming in. So you can
Brilliant.
go ahead. Yeah.
And hi, Dominic. I've just seen you in the comments, so it's good. It's good to have you on the live session. Right. So things changed on Monday, 6th of November. That's when OpenAI, which is a company that's developed ChatGPT,
Mhm.
announced some very big projects that they've been working on in the background, saying that they will be launching them pretty quickly. I wasn't quite expecting that I was going to have them effectively in my account literally within hours. So I've been playing for about a week and I wanted to share the top level. Now,
Okay.
if you're watching live, then please pop in the comments whether you are using the free version or the paid version.
Hmm.
Because if you've been sitting on the fence thinking, I'm not quite sure it's worth the $20 per month, you may be running quite quickly after this session to get the paid version because
Ah,
all the toys are
yeah.
around the paid version. Hi, Claire.
Okay. Hi, Claire. Hi, Afandi. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you guys. Free version for you, Claire. All right, okay. So don't despair because none of these developments actually apply to the free version. But it's really worth thinking whether, from your business perspective, it's a worthy investment. So let me run through the overview. The number one is that the data set has been updated to April 2023. So you may remember I used to say that ChatGPT doesn't know who the British Prime Minister is because the information it had
Oh,
was
no.
behind for
That old.
it was, yes, it was actually quite old, or well, what we think is old. So they brought it up to speed to
Okay.
April this year. So that's actually quite useful. This is on the Plus accounts at the moment. I fully expect that they're going to roll this out to the free accounts pretty quickly, though they haven't committed to anything like that.
Hmm.
Another niggly thing, thank you, Keith, for being here and saying you have the paid version. The different toys within the paid version, whether you want to do text to image or analytics or the plugins, they were all in different places.
Yeah.
And you have to select them, you have to select the mode separately. And you couldn't switch in the middle of a chat. You had to go off. So if, for example,
Mhm.
you were asking ChatGPT to create an image for you, you had your image, and then you thought, okay, I want a bit of copy to go and have that image on social media. You could not do that within that same chat. It was
Oh.
not possible. So it was causing a little bit of frustration. So they fixed that bit.
Mhm.
All is in one place and it doesn't matter in the browsing and everything. So that's actually quite useful. And the other big ticket item is chat GPTs. So effectively, OpenAI said we can all create our very own ChatGPT, which we design it very, very specifically. So this is beyond asking ChatGPT to generate things. Think like a mini software, like a mini program that you can insert into your business and fix something specifically. And I will show you how I created mine, and maybe we can have some ideas on how we can do that.
So it's almost like having a developer working for you, trying to solve problems or trying to write script for you to
Correct.
solve a problem. That's super powerful, actually. I just want to say at this point, hi, Kitty. Kitty's on a paid version. Dishan, thanks for joining us. It's really great to have you there. Yeah, you go on.
That's exactly right, and it's zero code. So
Yeah.
because I'm not a techie, I couldn't code if my life depended on it.
Hmm.
So it's zero code. You just give the prompts. Hence,
Yeah.
prompting becomes quite important.
Yeah.
The hi Philip, good to
Hi,
see
Philip.
you here.
Philip uses a free version and found that you can't access the new GPTs even if they're publicly available. You need a paid
Correct.
account. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. And the next step that is just around the corner is
Mm-hmm.
a GPT store. So the vision that OpenAI have is that you and I will be able to build chat the GPTs, we'll be able to build things, and that we can make them openly available, publicly available to the community. And there
Mm-hmm.
will be a scoring system that if I like Joy's app and the GPT that you've created, I can go and see and say thumbs up, I really like your thing. And then you go into that store, envisage this like the app store. It's a little bit like that. It's like the app store, but with less apps at the moment. So you can go and select something that somebody else has built, which is already there. So they're making it even easier to have these mini programs into the system. It's
Wow,
cool,
I
huh?
didn't realize that. So it's ChatGPT. So it's this is OpenAI's own um, app store, so to speak, and it's free
Yes.
for you to publish.
Hmm.
That is absolutely fantastic. I didn't know that, Celia.
It's coming up. It's around the corner. So they announced that the next step for GPTs will be to to have that store. And were you asking me something about monetization, Joyce, earlier, just before we went live? Whether we'll be able to monetize. So if you spend time, energy
Yeah.
to test GPT, you will be able, they said, to actually monetize that. If a
Okay.
lot of people are using
Mm-hmm.
your GPT, they
Yeah.
will give some kind of, it's like a little bit like the creator mode that a lot of platforms have. But look, what I'm going to do now, let's jump quickly because I could talk a lot about these things, but we don't have that much time. Let
No.
me
Yeah.
let me go to my screen because I want to show you behind the scenes a
Yeah.
quick
Of course.
tour. Okay, so let's click
So
entire.
Philip says, while you do that, Celia, Philip says that you don't get the retrieval function, but all the other elements are available pay as you go.
Correct. Yes. Everything that we're talking about today is in fact paid.
Pay as
It's
you
not,
go.
none of this is on the free account. Sorry about that. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
let's try and do this again.
Yeah. If you do that again,
ChatGPT, there it is. That should work this time. Can you
yes, got
see
it.
my
Yep, I
screen?
can see it. Yep. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm on the dark mode. So
Mm-hmm.
here's what's happening. When you log on, this is what you see. This is where I mentioned that they've merged all the modalities in one. So DALI, which is text to image, Bing browsing, the analytics, which is a huge part of ChatGPT, they're all under ChatGPT 4, which is the plus account. You don't have to select separately. It will
Okay.
do whatever it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is quite new, as in it wasn't there yesterday. This is how quickly it's moving.
Mm.
Limit 40 messages per 3 hours because a lot of people are jumping on it.
With
Now,
the messages, you mean proms, 40 proms in 3 hours.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, would should suffice for most people. Now, the new thing now in terms of prompting, we all know that all the different AI tools realize quite quickly that the quality of the output is about the quality of the prompting. So they started having some ideas for us here to play around with.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last version, they have this thing called Explore Discovery.
Ah.
And they have created
Yep.
all sorts of things. And this is specific. This is a bit weird, actually. I played around with it. It does this cosmic image creation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the data analysis. This is a big one. You can play games. The negotiator. This is quite interesting.
Oh, what's
And this can be used for business coaching, in fact, creative writing coach for any of you who might be needing that. That's also quite useful. And there are some cheeky ones like the laundry buddy, because they're encouraging you to use ChatGPT throughout your life, not just business. So
So
you
how does
can
that
go.
work for Laundry Buddy?
Yeah, it's quite a lot of fun. And then there is another one. I had a bit of fun, the meme. So I went in and I said, can you create a meme for me? And it said in a very cheeky tone,
Mhm.
well, no, actually, I'm here to explain the memes to you. And I thought, okay, that's a good one because I don't understand them half the time. But the bit
Okay.
that is quite fascinating is this one.
Uh-huh.
So this one is my GPT. So what I did, I created
Mm-hmm.
my GPT, but let me actually know. I need to go back a sec, and I want to show you the edit mode. So this is now the new amazing stuff that you can create with no code. On the left hand side, you have the GPT, the builder, and
Mm-hmm.
on the right, it goes through the process. So this is an example which a lot of you might find quite useful. We all need to stay in touch with our industry's updates. In my
Mm-hmm.
case, obviously, one of the big ones is AI news, digital marketing. We all have our areas of specialism.
Mm-hmm.
And I use a paid version of an RSS feeder. So I thought, okay, let me see if I can create an RSS feed within as a GPT. So I went in very simply and I said, I would like to create ChatGPT feeder. I want to have every day the news on what's happening on AI, and I want them from reliable sources. Can you do that? So it then went through, it guided me through a process where initially it said, okay, let's select a title. I wasn't even thinking of a title, but this, for example, plus US spelling, that's all ChatGPT. And then
Mm-hmm.
it said, okay, let's create an image. I said, okay, created the image. I was just going along with it because I wanted to see where it was heading.
Yeah.
And then it said, can you give me some links as examples of
Yeah.
reliable resources? So I did that. So I copied 6, 7 of them.
Mm-hmm.
It created literally on the spot
Yeah.
something which I could preview here. And then it encouraged me to go and play with the builder to test whether it's working for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly what I did. And I made a few changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very intuitive, it's very fast. And then you have options, as you can see, it says published. You can play around before publishing, and then it says only me. You have 3 options. You can share with the community, but as Philip said, at the moment, you have to have
Mm-hmm.
paid account for that. You
All
can
right.
share with a link. So I
Yeah.
can share it with you, Joyce, for example. Say, okay,
Ah,
check
okay.
out this link.
Yeah.
Again, you need a paid account, or in this case, I just have it only for me.
So if it's in development, you're just building it, it's a
It's
prototype,
working. It's working.
then
Uh,
you don't need to publish it until you're ready, right? You just share it with
you
people
can
within the team.
you can decide whatever suits you, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, it's right here at the top. So this is the top left is the
Yeah.
big changes in
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT. So I'm going to stop sharing now. I don't know whether we have any
Yep,
quick
it's fine.
questions. Turbo
Not
is very
so
powerful. Yes, Kitty,
yeah. Mm,
absolutely. It's mind blowing, isn't it?
mm,
The retrieval. So Philip says you don't get the retrieval function, but all the
yeah,
other elements. Yes, correct.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay. So does that make sense, guys? Is it exciting? Are you thinking maybe I need to be switching to the paid account? I'm not an affiliate, by the way. I just think it's such a powerful, powerful tool, isn't it?
It is super powerful, and I did know about the paid account. I'm afraid I'm a bit behind in terms of checking up on ChatGPT,
Not
but it's
anymore.
great.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. That's
So
what
how
we're
would
doing it.
you? Yeah. So if I can ask a quick question, if we have time, Celia. How I'm a user indirectly, and I say indirectly because the software programs that we use. things like Taplio, for example, which is for LinkedIn. So Taplio helps you with the content, putting out content, checking analytics and things like that. I'm not advertising for Taplio, but they already use AI. So that's how I indirectly use it. It's already incorporated in quite a few software platforms. So what do you think? I'm a bit confused at this point. Should we go direct and use ChatGPT itself and make it work for us, tailor it to us personally? Or
That's a great question,
yeah,
and there isn't a very clear-cut answer actually, because when I present, we're not really covering today, but I'll talk about it very briefly. When I present the AI tools, the overview of the tools,
yeah.
there are three kinds. They are the emerging, like brand new applications, the
Mm-hmm.
top level ones like ChatGPT. Then you have existing tech like the one you just mentioned, and Tableau is very good, and they incorporate ChatGPT within to
Yeah.
facilitate what they already do. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have the very specific tools, which are things like Jasper. They are particularly for copywriting or for newsletters or for
Yeah.
analytics. So how we select all these three matters depending on what we need to do. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
first is to identify exactly what is our objective and what is the barrier that we may want to address to make
Yeah.
things faster, more productive. If the tool you're using now, and it's a fab tool, by the way, if the tool you're using now is doing that for you, there's no need to
Mm-hmm.
go looking elsewhere. Not
Mm-hmm.
really. ChatGPT, I would say, sits in a way above this because it can help you with LinkedIn, with content, with some of the analytics, but you have to export it from LinkedIn, stick it on ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So you might find yourself duplicating. The question I
Yeah.
have for you is whether you might be able to use ChatGPT for other reasons, which are broader. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe ideation,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a content calendar. You're thinking of the top level big campaigns for next year, for example. You just want a conversation with someone who's knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So it's about finding the right fit for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
Kit,
That makes
Kit
sense.
is Kit is saying you're also using it for my personal life and my research life. Yes, research is huge for ChatGPT. Absolutely.
Mm.
And then let me satisfy the firewalls. Yes, absolutely. I'm with you on this one, Kitty. You're quite right. So what I'm going to do, I have a question on ChatGPT. Help give strategic ideas on how digital marketing agencies use Instagram to tell the brand story compellingly and memorably that resonates with digital market. Yes, it can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do now is jump on the prompts, and we can work on this specific prompt, if you like, as an example, how to break it down.
Okay.
Because quick tip, if you just take that and stick it on ChatGPT, it will come up with an answer. It wants to please you, right?
Mm.
But it may not necessarily be the right answer or the best possible answer. So let's dive in and look at
Okay.
specifically something on the prompting side.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, nope, I'm doing it again. Sorry, I haven't used this
Oh,
before,
good.
and I keep sharing what I see in
Oh,
front of
okay.
me.
You're sharing your window. Okay.
Let's try this again. Sorry, guys. Window, there it is. Ta-ta.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen, Celia.
Brilliant. Okay, so the way I see ChatGPT, the way I've interpreted the tool in my brain is it's my intelligent assistant. I play on the letters, because what you have is an MBA, PhD educated intern who is there right next to you and can help you with all sorts of things for $20 a month, which is super
That's a great
amazing.
bargain.
Yes, actually, if you think about it, it really is. So, over the last few months, I've developed this simple framework to help guide. I know a couple of you have been, like Keith, you've been in some of my presentations before. You may have seen this before. But these 4 stages really can help us increase the quality of the output. So the first one is context, where we explain the objective, what is the exercise that we want to do with ChatGPT. We give background, we explain a bit about our company, our services, our audience, our products. So it has this overarching idea of what's happening. Now, one thing that, and do remember this, if you are to take one thing away from this conversation today, is this one. Ask GPT to ask you more questions on what information do you need to know from me in order to address this exercise.
Okay.
So we go in, we type a few things, and we think we're done because we have loads of information in our head. But ChatGPT doesn't know specifically about us and our business. So if we ask and say, what else do you need to know from me? You will be surprised. Don't DM me and say, Celia, I came up with 10 questions. It normally asks a lot of questions, which are fantastic, by the way.
So the prompt is, what else do you need to know from me? So that would be the strategic prompt to be asking.
Exactly. So that's quite critical. That's after you've given the top level context, ask for more, because it now knows what is the exercise. So, for instance, if you said my audience is small businesses, small local businesses, and they're a B2C, for example, it's likely to come back with a lot more marketing questions, like who are your competitors, what's your value proposition, things like that. And it explains a little bit. So it's not in marketing jargon, not to put you off. It explains a bit what it needs from you for this particular question, which is fab. And then we go into avatar building, and the avatar building has 2 aspects to it. The one is, we need to say, this is my tone of voice, this is my personality. Maybe give examples of your writing if you have it. If you don't have it, give examples of writing of other people you admire. And say, I really like to produce something which is something like that. If it's relevant, this is more for copy. And then the other aspects of avatar building is we have to say to ChatGPT which hat to wear. So act as a senior editor, a senior copywriter, a senior marketer, as a business coach, as a life. Yes, because we want it to be quite specific and structured. Once we do that, so we're spending a little bit of time. So you're going to spend more time prepping on these 2 steps. And because the answers, as we all know, they come in seconds. Now, the next step, this is quite critical because ChatGPT is powerful, but it can still get confused if we chuck everything to it all at once. So we want to go step by step. Don't just give the entire everything. You may have 5, 6 different questions you want to explore. Go step by step, because it won't do such a good job, and it may get lost in the woods as well. Every time it comes back, you need to iterate. Go back and say, okay, I agree with this point. I'm not sure about that. Come back with another version. Don't forget the power of the negative prompting. This is quite important. We tend to think in positive prompts, but you can say, don't do this. Don't respond like that. Don't use this framework, whatever is relevant. And finally, before we are ready to critique the work that the ChatGPT has produced for us, it's quite important to critique it. And we can ask ChatGPT to do that for itself. We can say, okay, now that you created all of these, can you ask it to look at the work it has produced from you from a different perspective. That's the point of the critique.
How do you do that?
So, for example, if it's copy generation and it has created something for you, let's say foundations for a blog, you can say, act as a senior editor and critique this work, identify any gaps, will it resonate with my audience? You ask it to go back to the beginning of the conversation. And then it comes back and it's really quite amazing. It will say, well, I think this point works really well. I'm not quite sure about this one. I think we probably need to rephrase. And how about this one? This, and it will give you a rephrased statement. It's super powerful, super
So we can
powerful.
actually swap roles from, say, a
Yes,
copywriter role, can swap to an editor role. We could swap
yes,
to a reader role. So you're the reader, you're the audience. That is
absolutely.
absolutely amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, this is a very good point, Joyce, because you can say, okay, this is a fantastic article. Can you make
Hmm.
sure that the average reader will get it? Would there be any barriers in
Hmm.
comprehension? You know
Yeah.
what search engine optimization people say, you have to write in plain English and it has to be very, very easy to understand.
Yeah, yeah. Rather than use to and be robotic. I mean, yeah, it's always a balance, isn't it? It's fine balance between writing for a human being and writing for Google.
Exactly, exactly. So we are literally just 1 minute over. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some very quick examples.
Yeah, we can take a bit longer. I think if the audience is there,
Yes,
yeah, then
absolutely.
it's
I'm
fine.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to
Mm.
go through that, and you can always come back and watch the replay, guys.
Yeah.
So this is an example. So what's the context? I
Mm-hmm.
want to create ideas for blogs. A lot of us, maybe want help on the ideation process. You explain the type of business you're in, or if you're working for a client. This is what we are selling. This is our area of focus, and our audience is this. Now, if you say things like, I write you to think of blogs for an accountancy firm that serves small businesses, you're going to get some good ideas, but it's not going to be that good because this is too big. You've given something that is massive. What is a small business? Most companies in the UK are small businesses, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't exactly narrow it down. So try to
No.
apply the principle of specificity here.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is where on the avatar building, this is where you say act as, insert how you would like it to ask. So for instance, a copywriter with a deep understanding in human psychology, a conversion expert. So write something which is relevant for you. An expert in e-commerce and cart abandonment, for example. Act as a very experienced business coach who specializes in building X. So make it quite quickly. Now, the output, you can specify the output. It doesn't always have to be just words and paragraphs. You can ask it to create tables for you, bullet points. It can't create PowerPoint slides for you, for example, but it can create structures, and the table is quite useful. Then
Mm-hmm.
go back relentlessly on iterations. Go back and forth, back and forth. Do not accept what is given you as a first draft, because that's what it is. It's a first draft. Go back and hone it in and think about it and say, well, actually, you know what? I think we need to expand here. I'm not sure this point works. Let's rephrase it. I don't like this word. I'm not sure it's clear. It doesn't mind. Go back and ask for a lot of changes. And you can ask it just some ideas here in terms of your personal style. Ask it to help you. If you like somebody's writing,
Mm-hmm.
then you can say, look, this is a blog, copy paste the blog and say, I really like the tone of voice that this person has adopted. I would like to start using something similar. Can you tell me a little bit more? Ask it to analyze the copy and what is the tone of voice. So it can help you if you are not super clear in your head in terms of where exactly you are on this particular area. And finally, as I mentioned, the critiquing. So you switch hats. You switch hats. You go either, as you said, audience level, peer group level, senior editor. or if you were an advertising agency and you wanted to buy this, let's say you are pitching for guest blogging for podcast guests, would you need to see something else? And identify the areas of improvement. That's the key question to be asking. Does that make sense, Joyce?
Yes, it does. I think it's really powerful. I'm trying to picture this. So you're saying that the conversations that you have, they come in a linear fashion, don't they?
Yes.
So okay, so you've got to follow the thread of the conversations. When they switch hats, then it's so the conversations are all linear, and I'm just trying to see iterations. So when it comes to iterations, it also happens in a linear fashion. Is that right? The conversations. So iteration one, you don't like it. Iteration two, iteration three, it's all linear. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, correct. And a couple of points actually, as you raise this point. Yes, it is linear. A couple of things you need to be doing. As my suggestion always is to do iterations as you go along, rather than
Mhm.
wait for something that you might consider a more polished version. Go along because that's easier and it helps ChatGPT to stay on track. The other thing I would say, because sometimes when we have to go away and think about something and come back to the conversation, and that could be a day later, for example. You go in the same chat, and if a little bit of time has passed, what I find helps a lot is I go to ChatGPT, and before I continue, I say, can you please review our conversation so far? Because I'd like to continue.
So it keeps a record of previous conversations, previous work done, and you can go back and start where you left off, essentially.
Correct.
Yep.
But prompting it, though, prompting it to review what you've discussed so far, just to make sure it's on track.
So you
Be-
almost have a folder, a document folder of all the
yes.
conversations that you've had that you recall. How do you recall it properly? How do you recall it accurately? Does it have a reference? Do you reference the conversation? You can see that I haven't actually done, any of what you've just discussed. So I think for the
Okay.
audience, how do you keep a record and how do you retrieve the
Okay.
previous
So the
conversation?
best way is for me to quickly jump on ChatGPT and do it straight away.
Okay.
So I'll show you.
Yeah.
If I can find ChatGPT, that will be quite useful, which is here. Okay, let's try and do this again. There it is. This, I think it's this one. No, it's not this one. Oh, okay. You see technology, you love it, and then I hate it at the same time. I can't find the window.
Okay.
I can't find the window, Joyce. I'm sorry. I don't know
No,
what's
that's
happening.
okay. We can just talk about it. And hi, Alex, if you're still there. Alex joined us. And Philip had a couple of suggestions, I think, on
Yes.
Claude AI can be better than ChatGPT. Philip has obviously used, explored ChatGPT. Perplexity is what he was suggesting as well. Um, what else?
So the way it looks, Joyce, I don't know whether you
Hmm.
remember when you saw my screen earlier, and I
Yeah.
was pointing top left at the different tools. If you scroll down there on the left-hand side, you have this menu which is always open. ChatGPT, as Alex says, you don't have to call your chat anything. It picks up a title from the beginning of the
Mm,
conversation, and
I see. Okay.
and
Hmm.
it saves the chat there,
I
and then
see.
you can go back and pick anything you want.
Hmm.
So just to
Okay.
finish off with the prompting, I think one of the things I wanted to say here is that all tools, as I mentioned before, understand that good prompting is an issue and they want to help us. And you can see now with ChatGPT that they're creating ready-made prompts that you can use because
Hmm.
they know they work. This, however, does not mean that we can outsource that thinking from our brain and say, okay, the tool will give me prompts. No, we need to understand the principles. So these four elements I mentioned give it context, build the avatar, create and make sure it's in step, so it's precision. And then the critiquing, self-evaluation side is quite important. And these work with everything. And they work with the new GPTs as well, because that's exactly how I built my RSS feeder. I went step by step by step by step, and it's actually pretty good, to the point that I don't think I'm going to renew the paid one I've been using. My goodness.
How come? Because
Uh,
you.
because I have the impression that in the next, I have an annual plan with a company. It's a very good I Know Reader, I think it's pronounced. It's a super fantastic RSS feed.
Oh,
But I suspect ChatGPT is not quite at that level yet.
I
I
see.
suspect it will become so good that I don't need to have a different tool.
Mm,
I think we're heading that way.
right. Okay. So yeah, that's really valuable. Thank you very much, Celia.
It's
I
a
just
pleasure.
wonder whether you could share that slide with the pillars, the four things that we look out for with on LinkedIn. Is that possible so that we can use it as a reference point?
Absolutely.
And thank you,
This
Alex.
one.
Alex was very helpful. It says it keeps a record of the conversation trails yesterday, previous 30 days and months. So you have an audit trail. Thanks, Alex. Yeah. Oh, yes, that one. Yeah. Would you be able to attach that slide for
Yes,
on your
absolutely.
LinkedIn? Yeah,
Yes,
that would be
of course.
wonderful. The other thing I wanted to ask, if I may, unless we have questions from the audience, I don't think we have any questions from the audience, but I have a question actually. The prompts that you think are useful from your experience, Celia, would you be able to share some prompts, strategic prompts, which we talked, some of it we talked about earlier now. Would you be able to share some of it as well with us?
Well, what we can do, I can pick up the question we had from the audience about digital marketing.
Uh-huh.
So I can unpack that specific into a series of prompts that it's about this. So let me just reread how digital marketing agencies use Instagram to tell their brand story. This
Oh,
is
that's Dishan, yeah.
target audience. Okay, yes. So I can break that down. You can let me know how to do it technically, Joyce.
What do you need to do?
Just to write it, I can write it down for everyone to see how I would approach um, this particular exercise, because I wouldn't just stick that straight into ChatGPT. You can as to test it, but I wouldn't go about it like that. So I would.
Okay. Yeah, you can put it in the chat now if you like, or you can put it in the comments on the LinkedIn event page. Just add
I'll,
it in as
I'll
comments.
do that, because it
Yeah.
takes a bit of thinking to
Yeah.
build it. That's the whole
Yeah.
idea that I like, people to be aware of. It's worth spending a little bit of time
Yes.
thinking it through. So
Of
I will
course. Yeah.
break it down into,
Mhm.
what is the exercise? It's about Instagram marketing for digital marketing agencies, then describing what size of digital marketing agency, which is the particular area of focus,
Mhm.
who is the audience specifically, not small, again, not small businesses, that's not enough. Specific examples.
Yeah.
So you start building with that, and I can do that in the comments a bit later, guys,
Yeah,
if
of
that's all
course. That would
right.
be great. Yeah, no, no, we wouldn't really, I wouldn't expect you to do it now live because, it will take some time. But yeah, thank you very much, Celia.
Pleasure.
Anything else you'd like to add before we finish off? Question?
My main thing is play around with ChatGPT, just incorporate it into your daily life, whether it's personal, whether it's business. It's a very, very powerful tool, and the more you play every day, the more you discover new things, the more creative you become. The limit really is the limit of our own imagination.
Mm, okay. That's great. That's fantastic. And If anyone here has any questions, whether they're watching it live or the replay afterwards, I'm sure many of us will be watching the replay after this. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Right. Okay. So send me a direct message on LinkedIn. You can always find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me if we haven't connected already. And I have been threatening for 2-3 weeks now to launch a LinkedIn AI newsletter, which is kind of halfway there. So I'll probably get in touch and say, look, have a look. If it's useful for you, that would be quite good. Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much for your kind words and for being here.
Thanks, Claire. That's great. Thank you very much. So we shall end the session. And and maybe next time we shall continue another AI session with you if you're
Oh,
available.
absolutely. There's lots to talk about.
It's a long story and it's always changing. So it'd be great to have you back next time. Great. So I'm going to end this live. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks. If you stay with me for a minute or two, Celia, after we